Hey Albertine, how are you? Thanks for joining. How was your Sunday? Hope you had a wonderful time. Thank you for joining. It's a pleasure. Hi, Blessing. Wow. Thanks for joining, Blessing. How are you in, I'm not going to get it wrong. It's in Scandinavia. Hope it's not too cold over there. And how is the family? Hope everyone is doing good. Thank you, ladies, for joining today. I'm really looking forward to us having a nice conversation today. That's right, Denmark. That's right. I know it's the Scandinavia, and the name of the country just left my head. Thanks for reminding me. That's right, Denmark is getting better. Okay. Also, hi Albertine. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining. It's a real pleasure for me to come here again today to have a conversation. It's actually going to be a conversation, and I would really appreciate your inputs. The Intentional Parents Club is about parents, sharing ideas. We learn from each other. So it's just a platform where we all can connect and share our ideas and learn from each other. Hi, Zanala, how are you? Thanks for joining. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. Wow, hi, buddy. Vanessa, nice to see you here today. Thank you very much. Vanessa is a good friend of mine. She's recently authored a parenting book. I'm going to get her on in the next couple of weeks to have a conversation on this forum. As I said, it's a platform for us to talk. As parents, you have been given one of the most important jobs on earth, that is raising up, an adult. Virtually children are, we have the responsibility to raise up children as adults. So really we are raising up adults. It's such a huge responsibility that we have. So it's something that we don't take really lightly in the Intentional Parents Club. So for those who do not know me, who have not met me before, or listened to me before, my name is Pauline Lehman. I'm an author, speaker, an academic life coach, a parent, mentor, and coach. I have a passion for helping parents raise children who grow up to succeed in life, to be happy, to achieve their potential in school, to have their talents developed, and just to raise up children that grow up to influence their communities. And so today I'm going to be talking about a very interesting topic. I've titled it, Do you know, or do you have, what your child needs? Do you have what your child needs? I say this, if you listen to me, I say it over and over again, that 90% of how your child turns out depends on you. Okay, and parenting is a bit like building a house. So when you want to build a house, what do? You think about your plan for the house. You think about what materials you want to use. You think about the finishing touches. You have an idea in your mind about the design of this house. You have a vision for it. You dream it. You see it in your mind. That is how parenting is. As when we have our children, we need to be able to see into their future. We need to be able to see them. As adults, we need to be able to see them in the potential, careers or whatever it is that we believe God wants them to be. So that is how parenting is, and that is why it is very important for us as parents to be able to look inward. So today I'm going to help us to look inward, because when I've worked with lots of parents, and when I work with parents, I realized that one of the things that is causing a lot of problems with our children is not that our children are bad, but it's that a lot of parents get into it unprepared. A lot of parents haven't gone through the process of self-discovery, of knowing yourself. Because when you know yourself, you intentionally look inward, you self-reflect, and you start to work on yourself, then you present to your children a better version of yourself. So you become a better person for yourself, for your children, and even for your husband and for those around you. You become a blessing to people when you know who you are. Okay, so that is why over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about us. We're going to be looking inward, looking at us. So the aspect I'm going to look at today is the most important thing that kids need. Okay? The most important thing that kids need. If I asked you what was the most important thing that kids need, if you just want to type in your answer, please, I would appreciate it. What, in your opinion, is the most important thing that children need? I'll give you a few seconds to type it in. What is the most important thing you believe that children need? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And if you know it, do you have it to give them? Okay. Right. I can't see the responses coming. So we're just going to carry on. Please appreciate the interaction. We are all learning from each other. But I want to focus today on unconditional love and acceptance. I believe that is the most important thing that our children need to be able to thrive. Our children live in a very negative environment. The negativity comes. Hi, Marine, thanks for joining. How are you? The negativity is from the peers, it's from the media, it's everything around the children is negative. Everything around them is showing them limitations. You can't do this. I'm not good enough. I can't do this to save my life. The children are just surrounded by limitations, and those limitations translate into their minds. It goes into their minds. They start to think in a limiting way. They have self-limiting beliefs. The self-talk they do within themselves, it's very limiting. They are not good enough. They're not beautiful enough. They feel, the world is not welcoming. The world is not a place that is welcoming. People are always fighting. When we watch the news, it is this nation fighting against this nation. In the same nation, it is this political party against the other. There is a lot of fighting, and there is a general sense of lack of love and acceptance. And unconditional love and acceptance is one of the things, the most important thing that will help children thrive. What is unconditional love? It's about loving your child just because you've got an amazing measure of love within you. You don't need your child to prove anything to you to love them. They don't need to be very obedient, okay, to be loved. They don't need to be the best student in their class for you to love them. They don't need to be the best, football player in their juvenile football team. They don't need to be the best swimmer in their swimming team. You love them because, these are the children that you brought to the world. You gave life to them. And I believe that when parents bring children to life, it is because you want to pour out that love. Hello, Gift. Hi, Fumilayo. Hi, Ruth. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, we're talking about the most important things that children need. And we've mentioned unconditional love and acceptance. And then we're going to talk about, do you have what your children need? Because you can only give what you have. If you don't have it, you cannot give it. And I'm going to take us through a journey of, reflecting on ourselves to see if we actually have this, self-love, this love, to be able to give our children. Unconditional love is a powerful tool that a lot of parents have not yet grasped. And I pray that, we will grasp it today. It's going to come to us as a revelation. Now, when we love our children unconditionally, it helps them feel secure and safe. They know that whether I fail, whether I make a mistake, whether I do something that is unbelievable, my parents love me. My parents will support me through the process to find myself and to move on. It helps increase their confidence. So a child who is in a home where there is unconditional love will naturally come across as confident. They may not be the best, but they will come across as confident. They will easily interact in conversations, with adults, with people that they don't know. They will want to put themselves forward. You could see that confidence radiating in them. Children who grow in a home of unconditional love are happier. They have a greater sense of fulfillment within themselves. When your child grows in a home of unconditional love, it helps them achieve their goals with greater ease. A lot of times we parents put a lot of pressure on them, to achieve goals. But when there is that love, that if they go for a ballet competition and they don't win, it's fine. You did your best, darling. What could you do next time? So it continuously encouraging them. It helps them achieve high goals for themselves because they have that sense of self-belief that they can do anything and do it well. And that if they don't do it well this time, it's not the end of the world. Next time, they're going to do even better. Very, very important. They enjoy being in the family. A lot of young people, especially teenagers, do not enjoy their families. And that is why they tend to gravitate towards the outside world, towards friends. Okay, so they love being in the family. They are less likely to seek for love outside. And a lot of us as parents are constantly seeking for children to obey. Now, let me tell you this. When a child grows in a home where there is love, they are more likely to become compliant. Okay, they are less likely to be involved in antisocial behavior. And then your voice becomes the louder voice. Remember, I said a lot of voices. Our children are hearing lots of voices outside there. But your voice becomes the louder voice. When they go on social media and they watch things, they see people, they connect with people, your voice still remains the louder voice. Hello, Mimi. Hello, Fully. Thank you very much for joining. We appreciate you. Hope you had a wonderful Sunday. And finally, you become their primary source of influence. So we see that as parents, a lot of the struggles that we have would be sorted if we could give our children this unconditional love. And what is the love that children want? They just want you to affirm them, to tell them we love you. Now, some parents would say, I don't need to tell them I love them all the time because they know that I love them anyway. Now, I turn this back to us as spouses. My husband tells me every day that he loves me, okay? Now, I know that he loves me, but I still feel good when I hear it. So we need to be telling our spouses that we love them all the time. Because when we tell them that, it gives them that sense of reassurance. Even our teenagers need to hear this. I love you. We need the hugs, the touches, the patting on the back, the holding hands with our children to show that children need this sense of physical love. When they have it at home, I tell you the truth, they will not go looking for it outside. Now, my question for us is, do you have the love your child needs? Do you have the love? Hi, Juliana. Thanks for joining. How are you? Do you have the love your child needs? If you do not have the love your child needs, how can you give it to them? Someone might, you might say, listening to me, that, yeah, but I have the love that my child needs. But I want us to take us back. Do you find it easy to hug your child? I know when between the ages of 0 to 5, it's easy. But as they grow up, they become teenagers. How easy it is for you to hug them, for you to tell them you love them. Teenagers, I tell you, even though sometimes they do as if they are independent, they want to come and lean on your shoulders. They want that hug. How easy is it for you to actually give them that love? There are lots of hindrances, and I want to take us back into our background. For some of us, and how do you know whether you have it? Do you find it easy to show that love to your husband, to hold hands with him, to be romantic, to act lovingly? For some, they find it hard to hug, to kiss, their spouses. It is all due to certain things that happened in our background. For a lot of us, who were raised in Africa, our parents didn't always tell us they love us, so we might not feel the need to tell our children that, we love them. Please share your views here. I'd like to hear from you. What are the hindrances? What are the things that could hinder us from actually having that love, to give to our children. For some of us, we were only loved when we performed. When you were first in the class, your parents would love you. When you were obedient, your parents loved you. When you complied, you were the best child. That is only the only time for a lot of us growing up when we actually felt the love of our parents. But here we're talking about unconditional love. So for some parents who probably didn't grow up in an environment where they saw their parents showing love to each other, hugging themselves, appreciating themselves maybe, or seeing their parents going out together, spending time together, that might subconsciously be at the back of your mind, and that is what hinders even in relationships between spouses. It could be due to an abusive situation that you may have experienced, growing up, by family member or, some other person that may have abused you, that has caused that, that invisible kind of barrier to freely expressing your love. A lot of people, I tell you, if you think inwardly, or you might know within yourself, or maybe others who may have gone through it, and that would be a hindrance. It could be due to a lot of the negative things that you've heard growing up. You're not good enough, you are this, you're that. That destroys your sense of self-belief and destroys your sense of self-love. Remember, if you do not love yourself, you cannot love someone else. Yes? If you don't love yourself, you cannot love someone else. You will not even think that you are worthy to be loved. Some people don't think that they're worthy to be loved. And that is one of the reasons I think some people stay in very abusive relationships. You think they're doing a favor to you, and you allow yourself to be abused. Okay? So do you have that love that your child needs? I'm just going to share my experience with you. Just like you listening here today, I felt, I never realized I had a problem with being able to express love, okay? But when I got married, that is when I realized that I was a bit reticent, I was a bit withdrawn, I was a bit, I always held to myself. And I got married to a man that is very warm, he's very touchy-feely, he is romantic. And for the first few years of our marriage, I had a problem of being really, really closed up. I wasn't giving back, that reciprocating that kind of love to the level that, my husband wanted. And when I eventually started having kids and stuff, I realized that I wasn't that mother that would easily hug and that would easily, give out this love that children need. So it took a while. My husband talked to me, he tried to encourage me. He told me what he wanted, from me. And I say, I forever do appreciate him because he was able to help me through. He didn't just, feel, he wasn't left in a sense of unsatisfaction and then look for love somewhere else. He actually spoke to me about what his needs were, and we worked through it. And eventually I released myself. And today I can hug my kids, the older ones. I can hug them, I can tell them I love them, I can be gentle, I can be soft and loving with them. Now these are the things that could be barriers, and that if we are unable to give it out to our children, usually might cause problems. We end up with children not having that love from mom, not having that love from dad, and going to look for it out there. Okay, Gift says the children yearn for that hug, holding of hands and a kiss. My daughter is always asking for a hug, kiss, and to say I love you when going to school and bedtime. I had to force myself to do it. Okay, let me read the rest of the comments. To do it even if I don't like. Thank you, my sister, for being honest here. We are here to learn. I've shared my own story. And that is why I know that it is an issue, especially for a lot of us with the background we're coming from, where we didn't receive this love. But as you start to give this love to your children will grow up with that love, and they'll be able to give it out also to their children and to their spouses. So let's break this chain. Let's break this cycle of lovelessness. When we see parents abusing their children, okay, it is because of what? It is because of the fact that there is no love. They haven't got to a point of actually loving. They don't have the love to give their children. Now, my question to you, mother, as a father here, do you have that love to give your child? If you don't have the love, I want to encourage you with the same encouragement that I received when I realized that I didn't have the love to give my husband. I didn't have that love in me to give my children. I realized that I didn't even love myself that much. I had a problem with self-confidence. Believe it or not, when I say that, people never believe it. Okay? But I am not today, I'm not where I was. We are all going through a process of self-development. Self-development is such a powerful tool. And so I want to encourage you today, if you are one of those like me or like Gift, who found it hard to express love to your spouse, that is how you would know. Do you find it easy to hug your spouse, to be loving, to be kind, to say nice things to them, to externalize that love? If you find it hard to do that, then you would also find it hard to do it, especially for your teenage children. When they become teenagers, they're a bit like mini adults, and they want those hugs, they want those kisses, they want those reassurance. I love you. Now, I worked with a group of teenagers once, and they said this about African parents. They said, that I don't know why African parents find it hard to say I love you to their children. That for most of them, I had a group of about 7 or so. Most of them said that when we tell our parents, when we're talking with our parents, we tell them we love them, all they say is mm-hmm. Or if we're talking on the phone, they say, Dad or Mom, I love you. You say, okay, bye, and they drop the phone. So it's like there is that barrier. We find it hard to tell them we love them. But I tell you, your teenagers especially need to hear those affirmative words. I love you. You are good enough. You are loved. That love and acceptance is what is going to really keep them. For those who are just joining, I spoke about the power in unconditional love, in showing unconditional love and acceptance to our children. Now, if you're following today and you feel you lack that love within yourself, because you need to have it, that self-love, then you need to start by dealing with it. Do you have self-love? Why do you not love yourself? So think inwardly. Write down the things that are making you not to love yourself. For some, it's just feeling not adequate, feeling, focusing more on your weaknesses, on your mistakes, on your failures than on your strength. But I want to tell you today, your mistakes do not define you. Your failures do not define you. When we read the biography of millionaires, of successful people, a lot of them went bankrupt. A lot of them made mistakes. A lot of them were rejected. But being rejected, you may have gone through, you might be rejected by a stepmother, by a step-parent, even by a parent, by a boyfriend. When teenagers go into relationships, and and when it breaks, the boyfriends tell them all sort of negative things. They keep it in, and that brings it's a source of rejection. They don't feel good enough. But I tell you, you are good enough. Do not define you by your past. See yourself as God sees you. If you're a child of God, whether you're a child of God or not, God loves you. God is love. And especially if you're a child of God, you cannot be a child of God and then walk in lack of self-love. You are shooting yourself in the leg, because that is your portion as a Christian. That is your inheritance. God is love. You are the seed of love, and the love of God has to be manifested in you. So just walk in it. Just enjoy, that love that God has. God loved us. Now, when we look at the love of God, He loves us just as we are. He doesn't love us because we obey Him. So most of us, I mean, none of us are perfect. We make mistakes. We flunk. We do things that would, if we stood before God, would be ashamed. But God still loves us and he forgives us. So whatever is limiting you, is hindering you from loving yourself, I want to ask you to forgive yourself. Start by forgiving yourself. Genuinely, nobody can love you more than you love yourself, not even your spouse. Because when people pick up signs, when you are among people, they know if you love yourself or not. And people start to judge you based on that. You can see that some people get into an environment and people treat them with respect. And someone else gets into an environment and because of how they carry themselves, you pass on vibes that you're not confident, that you don't love yourself, okay? That you don't love yourself. And as a result of that, they take you that way. Believe you me, people read people when they come in contact with them. So people are forever, consciously or unconsciously judging others or analyzing others or evaluating others. And it is how you present yourself. I want to encourage you today, see yourself as God sees you. Don't see yourself as a failure. Don't see yourself as, don't let yourself be defined by what others say about you. I say this to my children. If somebody challenges you, that you can't do something, challenge yourself to challenge their challenge. If somebody tries to limit you, challenge yourself to say, I will rise up above what that person is saying I can't do, because you have it all in you. You have everything in you you need to be anything. And I want to say to you, God has given you a great responsibility as a parent. We cannot fail. And just as God parents us with unconditional love, that is how he expects us to parent our children with unconditional love. Not love determined by what they do, whether they are obedient, whether they are good. Let's keep showing that love. Even to the most rebellious teenager, I tell you, they will turn around. That love is a powerful tool. And that is why the Bible says the greatest of all those characteristics is love in the book of Corinthians. So go ahead, work on yourself. Rise up against whatever is stopping you from loving yourself. It's going to start with you. And when you've sorted yourself out, then you will be able to extend your love to your children, to your spouse, to those around you. You will just be a loving person. And you're going to attract people that are full of love. Is that okay? So please promise yourself you are an intentional parent. And an intentional parent is one that plans, as I said before, for those joining me, at the start I said intentional parenting is the same as going ahead to think about building a house. In Africa, we build houses. We don't, for most people, they build a house, Some countries in Africa now have, these houses that are bought on plan. But for most in Africa, if you're building a house, you need to think about the plan. You need to think about, get maybe an architect to think about the plan with you, to think about the finishing touches, to think about what you're going to put in. For some, they can hire the service of an interior decorator, but at least you have an idea. So that is what we're talking here about today. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be working on us, because as a parent, you cannot give what you don't have. And that is why, in this book, in the book I'm writing, I focus a lot on it. Because one of the biggest problems in parenting is that we are not where we should be as parents. We are not the best versions of ourselves. So we need to raise ourselves up to be the best versions of ourselves before we can raise up sound, well-adjusted children, happy children that grow up to leave an impact, in their generation, to create an impact in their generation. So I've come to the end. Thank you very much. People have been commenting. Let me look at the comments. Elizabeth, well done, sis, really learning about expressing it verbally, because that's what they need to hear instead of saying hon. Okay, Kalisha, thanks for joining. A blessing. This is good stuff. I love it. I'm learning a lot. Thank you so much. Please keep those comments coming. If you have any questions, or you want to add something. As I said, we are all learning. Maybe you want to add to bless, one parent or the other here who is watching. You want to share. It is a forum where we are open, we are truthful, and that is why I'm happy to share, my own story, because I am one that is very, very big on mentoring. I believe that, we learn from other people's experiences. So when I share my experience, I'm open to you, so to tell you that you can change. We all can change. We all can improve. So it's half term this week. And I want to encourage you, intentional parents, to go out to plan an activity with your children. It's really important that during the holidays, you may be busy with work, but plan a family activity where you actually go and play with your children. Okay, that during that play, you bring yourself down to their level. You break that ice, you break that sternness. That's, some of us parents, we are so stern, we are so rigid, we don't smile, we don't have fun, but take your children out and play with them. There are lots of activities around. Go online and look for, activities for families during the holiday or family days out activities. Just type in something on Google. It's going to bring up lots of things that you could do with your children, both free and paid activities. It's all out there. So please, as intentional parents, I encourage you to do something, to interact with your children these holidays. Have fun, have a lot of rest, and make the most of the week. Ruth says, I will raise myself up to be a better version of myself. Many thanks, sis, and God bless you. Thank you so much to everybody who's taken out time to join me today. Please keep the comments going. Even when we finish, just keep the comments going. If you have any questions during the week, some parents rang me or inboxed me to talk about certain things. So if you want me to talk about certain aspects of parenting, please, you can send me a personal message. If you don't want to share it here on the forum, that is absolutely fine. So I'm going to have to stop here today. I wish you all a great half-term holiday for those of you in the UK, and for those of you in other parts of the world, it's not half-term. You have a wonderful week ahead. Remember to pray for your children. God is our partner in the business of raising up our children. We can't run this race on our own. So go ahead and have a great week. God bless you richly. And thank you for joining. Bye-bye.